Welcome to the Student of the Game podcast with Tim Stone, where I sit down with successful entrepreneurs to extract the knowledge you need to increase your income and avoid simple mistakes. You learn from their failures so you don't have to go through the same thing. I hope that you find one lesson you can apply to your life from this episode. Thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning into the Student of the Game podcast. This is Tim Stone. I'm here with our special guest today, John Malott. John, thank you for taking the time to be here.
Yeah, Tim, excited, man. We finally making it happen.
Finally making it happen. Yes. So John is an investor and owner of multiple companies. Right now, big project is OSNAP Active Lifestyle. In his career that he's going to dive into and explain, he's done over $1.4 billion in sales, built multiple companies, had a pretty successful career from humble beginnings. Too. Sexy career, sexy and successful from humble beginnings. John, thank you for being here. Where does your story start? I know you've done a lot of things.
Yeah, I have, and it's because I'm old. You see my wife in the background. She's doing something. I've done a lot of things, because I've got some numbers behind me. My birthday's coming up at the end of this month, so I'll add another year under my belt. But really, for me, the whole journey started when I was 15. Let me move my camera here so it's not distracting. The journey for me started really when I was, 15 years old. As interesting as that is, that was my first felony arrest. I was 15 years old, and because I was locked up in a juvenile detention facility, coming out from there, I ended up, in our neighborhood, what we now know as the crack epidemic had hit pretty hard. And as I was getting released, I got involved in that whole thing. I tried to be a capitalist. I didn't get the memo, don't get high on your own supply. By 17, I had a heart attack from smoking cocaine. And, that was actually the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey, because I ended up being locked up again, but this time in a drug rehabilitation program. And a guy by the name of Dave. Dave was a former outlaw motorcycle gang member. And Dave demanded respect, but Dave told me that my way out of the neighborhood, my way out of this lifestyle was entrepreneurship. And I didn't believe it. I was like, bro, don't you just see what happened? Clearly it wasn't working for me. But he was the first guy to give me a book on personal development. He gave me a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And that book planted some seeds that end up later on opening up a lot of doors for me. But it was the beginning of searching for that type of information. And Dave was the one who kept putting in my brain, business is your way out. Business is your way out. And I wish I could say it happened quickly. One of my friends, Les Brown, he used to say, jump and the net will appear. I called up Les Brown later in life joking, say, man, I jumped and that net never appeared. Man, I bounced off the pavement like 15 times before the net showed up. So we all got our process, but that was the beginning. That was really where things began. And in my final felony arrest, I was 24 years old. And that's when I, sitting on the bullpen floor of the Milwaukee County Jail, facing some serious legal ramifications. That's when I made the decision that, yes, I was a loser, criminal, gang member, dropout, drug addict, all those adjectives that were true at one point. That's who I was. That's not who I would be going forward. And that's was the last time I got arrested. And I really focused in and eliminated the bad associations, got off of drugs, and started to make the changes. So you asked where it began. I just gave you the long story. That's where it began.
So the first start of entrepreneurship was selling crack. Is that correct?
It was, yeah. Sorry to say, but that's true. It didn't work though. Not many people bought it. I used it so much. So yeah.
Yeah. And then How to Win Friends and Influence People. And my understanding is you had a very successful career down the road in network marketing and building relationships and building businesses. So where does it go after 24, the final arrest, when the legitimate business that builds the wealth and keeps you out of prison, where does that start?
Yeah, network marketing literally saved my life. My sister died from a heroin overdose when she was 21 years old. My younger brother, 2 years younger than me, has been in prison and on drugs his entire life, still to this day. For me, it was network marketing, because when you got a colorful past, there's not a lot of doors open for you. I mean, and if you try to get a job, you check the box, telling the truth. You don't get the job. If you lie, sooner or later they take the job from you. So it's a brutal system we have, especially if you've already paid the price. Society never holds you, allows you to get past that, and it didn't allow me either. So I went to a meeting, and these people said they wanted me and that they were interested in me. They were interested in everybody, but it was truly an equal opportunity. And I had a mentor by the name of Jim Rohn. Some of you guys know Jim Rohn. He was Tony Robbins' mentor. Jim Rohn was also in the industry, and it became a very pure mentoring relationship. He had an incentive. If I did well, he got paid. Otherwise, there would be no reason for Jim Rohn to mentor a guy like me. But he did, and he taught me what he knew about building businesses, and all of that came from network marketing. Like the business he built, if you ever listen to his audios or anything, Earl Shove was his upline in a network marketing company, and that was his mentor. And basically, he taught me how to play a grown-up game of follow the leader. And network marketing is a perfect place to learn scaling and branding and marketing and to get your skin thick, because you cannot be a great entrepreneur if you're a wimp, and if you can't take some rejection, and if you can't take some criticism, and if you can't take the punches, if you can't roll with them, then you're going to have a really tough time. And network marketing thickened my skin. It made me tough. It made me resilient. And it taught me all the things that later on I used in traditional businesses. I owned real estate investment companies, publishing companies, mixed martial art cage fighting companies, nightclubs, restaurant. I've had a lot of traditional businesses. None of them ever produced the way my network marketing companies did. They all required so much time that it was frustrating when I had a network marketing company that was spitting off $250,000 a month, whether I rolled over in bed or rolled out of bed, because I did the work. And that model is just a beautiful model for time freedom. But most people don't understand it. So because there's a lot of ignorance around it, people shun it. They talk shit about it. And that's all prejudice is. Prejudice is ignorance. And a lot of people are very ignorant to the power of it. If they understood the power of it, they would dump a lot of these traditional grinds that seem prestigious, but produce very little results consistently. So anyways, that's what happened. I got into a network marketing company. And again, that didn't happen right away either. None of it's really supposed to happen fast is what I learned. But yet we expect things to happen faster than they should. And I don't know where we get those expectations from. Maybe we see someone rolling in a Rolls Royce in a big mansion, and we think we should have that because our egos tell us we should. But that shit takes time, and it took time. It took me 7 years to finally crack $100,000 in a single year. And that was a different time too. You got to remember speed. We have speed now. What took me 5 years to do back then, you can do in half that time today because of this type of technology. We're carrying these around everywhere. Yeah. We got a Fortune 500 company in this bad boy. We didn't have that when I was coming up. So anyways, man, it and then it went, eventually it went to $1 million a year, then $2 million a year. And I get a lot of accolades from the finished product, but very few people talk about, what it actually took to build it to that point. Yeah, that's, I do these interviews a lot.
That's the thing I'm curious to learn is the skills and the things that it took to get into place. Because 7 years before your first 6 figures, and then just scaling from there. I also want to know, how quickly it took off once you got to that point. But the most important part is the skills it took and what you had to do.
Yeah, it took skills. I had no skills. I mean, I was super rough. My first year as a full-time entrepreneur, I made $4,000. So you can imagine, the criticism, the laughter, the jeers. It was nonstop. Around the Thanksgiving tables, like, "Are you rich yet?" I'm like, "Shit, are you rich, Uncle Ray? Yeah. You still on the same damn job, 20 some years." Anyways, so
that's been the last few years for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what people do. People, again, their ignorance is prejudice, and there's a lot of ignorant people that will spew their way. I call them the entrepreneurs that do it are the most shocking to me. I call them entrepreneur supremacists. It's like somehow your hustle is better than mine. What makes that the case? And again, it's ignorance more than anything. But yeah, my first year was $4,000. But And I had to learn the skills. Man, I was so far behind. I didn't have credibility. So that's a challenge. You got to at some point get some kind of credibility. I didn't have validation from other people, which would sometimes lend their credibility, because who would lend their credibility to a drug addict, criminal, dropout, loser?
Just got out of jail.
Yeah, man, I had to earn it. And everybody has to earn it. I don't care if you're an IT professional, school teacher, pastor. When it comes to business, you're going to have to earn it. And that's the hard part. And I had to earn it. And what I did is I took the televisions out of the house for 5 years, because I was a sports fanatic and I was building everyone else's dream through consuming their content. It's no different today. This is the new distractor. But I did that for 5 years, man. And what I did is what you have behind you, books. I started reading about the greats, because I had a mentor say, if another man or another woman could do it, then you could do it. And I'm like, okay, wow. We'll go. Somebody took a whole bunch of failures and they wrote a book about it. You can go get the book for $20 at Barnes and Noble and change your life. Or if you can't afford that, go to the library and sit in the damn library and start devouring. And that's what I did. I started in the beginning, it was the library, and I was devouring books, man, like crazy, learning about all the greats, from Ben Franklin to Donald Trump, to you name it, man. I know their stories. I read them, and I decided, I picked the ones I liked and the ones I would try to emulate. And again, played the grown-up game of follow the leader. I just did what they did as best I could, or as best as I could decipher from the information that I was getting. So I don't have like you're gonna find about me, man. Nothing fancy. I got no fancy footwork, no secrets. I don't believe there are secrets to success. I think there's a few keys that are necessary. But yeah, it was very simple, but it took time. And most people won't do it. Most people won't put in the time, man. Most people, they don't realize they're quitting, but they go from one thing to the next thing, and you're actually quitting. People they're quitting. I tell them all the time, you're a quitter. You don't want to hear that, but you started something, you didn't finish it, because if you finished it, you would have been to the top. If you finished it, you would have made millions, but you didn't. And because it didn't happen as fast enough, or whatever your ego led you to believe, you quit and you went and did something else. You stayed an entrepreneur, but you did another thing. And you'll do another thing in 6 months or a year from now, because that's what most, especially young entrepreneurs, do now today. That shiny object syndrome is a mother that will keep people always working, but never getting in front of the money. I see it over and over. I'm watching guys that I mentored when they were in their 20s that are now in their 30s, and they're doing the same shit. It's like, bro, until you grab a hold of something and you are relentless in the pursuit, and you have that, I will not be denied, I will not stop until I get to the top of this mother effing mountain. You'll find me on the top, or you'll find me dead on the side. You're going to go to the next thing. Someone else is going to come up with the next Forex deal. They're going to come up with the next trading deal, the next real estate wholesaling deal, the next Airbnb deal, the next Turo deal. It just goes on and on and on.
They all work, but you have to put the time in and stick to one of them.
Yeah, most entrepreneurs. Yeah, man, they all work, but most entrepreneurs make just enough to be frustrated out of their minds.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how to get past the point of being comfortable, because nowadays you see it all the time on the internet, and maybe some people aren't telling the truth, but it's easier than ever to make six figures or make a couple $100,000 with the power of the internet, social media. You can connect with people. But if you're wanting to get to the next level, this is something I've struggled with. I made my first six figures when I was 20 years old, and I've more than doubled every year since then, but I'm only 22. My goal this year is to make $1 million, but I'm very, very, very comfortable as a 22-year-old making a couple $100,000 a year.
Hell yeah, man. And be proud of that, because that is rare air. I mean, it is possible for every 20-year-old. Not shit, it's possible for a 15-year-old now. Right. But what you're doing is still rare air, no matter how you look at it. And I call it happily discontent. And I like that you're saying the next goal is $1 million, because that's, Jim Rohn used to say the reason they make those kindergarten chairs so small is we expect progress. Yeah. Life demands progress. So you should always be moving forward. But for me, entrepreneurship, it's the possibility of time freedom. Financial, finance is one thing. I have a lot of rich friends, very, very, very wealthy, but they don't have time freedom. And that's, to me, that was never my goal. The beauty of network marketing is that the promise was geared more towards time freedom. What I saw were people way back before it was cool to be the entrepreneur nomad. Network marketers have been entrepreneur nomads before that was a cool thing, before we had social media to brag about it. Because what we were working from home. We were the first entrepreneurs that actually had home-based businesses. And then for a lot of us, we caught on, shit, if I could do it at home, if I could get a Wi-Fi connection, on an island somewhere, I could do it from the beach. And that was, network marketers were the beginning of that. And so, yeah, for me, it's time, it's purpose, it's impact. Where am I going with this, and who am I impacting? Sometimes as an entrepreneur, we get the mistaken belief that all money is good money. Young entrepreneurs a lot of times will think, well, I just made $100,000 this year. Well, how did you do it too? That's the other question. We had a young guy work for us for a while, and he was bringing in money, but there was a big price that our company paid, integrity wise, credibility wise. Every dollar seemed like it was damaging our reputation. So eventually I'm like, not all volume is good volume. So, build something for the long term. You got one reputation, man. You got one reputation. And if you build it right now in your 20s, by the time you're 40, you got so many damn doors open for you. It's insane. And then you'll have more options to make decisions, and money will come much faster. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah. Just work with the time, do what you can do, work as hard as you can, and then keep learning.
And treat people right, man, and do right by people. Because the hardest thing to do when you're young, at least for me, it was thinking long-term. It's like long-term, because the future is coming, and it's coming fast. And you want to be prepared, and and again, people opening doors for me later on in life, once I checked my ego, that created more millions much faster than those first millions. Because now I had contacts. I had, when I didn't have credibility and nobody would put a stamp on me, it was all just grind, man. It was freaking work and proving to people that I deserved it, and I demanded it. But later on, man, the doors started opening automatically because, we had benefited a lot of people, and we proved, who we were. That's kind of where it was for us.
Building relationships, and years down the road, they paid off. So early on, it's just to make your first couple dollars so you can survive. It's a lot of sales skills you got to build and put in a lot of work on the sales. But I think really, probably any industry, not just network marketing, is the way to scale is people. You only have 24 hours in a day. If you've got 10 people on your team, you get 240 hours in a day now. So
you got it.
So what's the key to building teams in anything? I would specifically network marketing. That's what you're great at, but any business that can apply this.
And the beauty of it applies to everything, because where I really got it down was when I read Ray Kroc's book, Grinding It Out, about McDonald's. I was like, damn, what do I want? I want a distribution point at every single corner all over the world too. Just like Ray Kroc figured out, if he could create this cookie cutter hamburger machine, he could put it everywhere. And I caught on the same thing. I'm like, man, if I could create a cookie cutter machine of people, it's game over. And that's what we did. One of our biggest builds, we had 327,000 affiliates in 8 countries. I'm in countries like South Korea. I don't speak Korean, but because we dumbed everything down, we simplified everything. We used tools instead of the mouth. So I started teaching people, look, you could be a great salesperson in the USA and speak English, but you're done when we open up Japan. You're done when we open up South Korea. Because what are you going to do? You're going to go, every time I would do a presentation in South Korea, a 20-minute presentation turned into an hour because of translation. It was cumbersome. It was heavy. There was a lot to it. So we got really good at simplifying the message. And then we were starting to use, before video marketing was the thing, network marketers already did video marketing. Matter of fact, I had a VHS tape. I started with one. It cost me $20. It was the company VHS tape. And I caught on. Let me not say anything. My mentor said, because I was so rough and I had no credibility, he said, you need to say less to more people. And he said, use this videotape and get people to watch it and then shut up. And then if they have any questions, point them to the website or point them to me for credibility, but you stay out of it. And that was the biggest lesson I ever learned. And I wish CEOs, I wish the high credibility and the big ego people got that, because that was the number one thing that we got to scale like a mother. So back then I called it pass and play. I started with one VHS video because it would cost me $20. So I would hand it to you. I'd say, look, you're going to watch this video tonight, right? You're going to watch this video. And I wouldn't let it out of my hand until you committed. And I said, tomorrow I'm coming to pick it up. And so I'd be on your doorstep tomorrow. So in the beginning it was only local, but eventually I had 20 videos and then I had 50 videos. Then all of a sudden you came on board. Now you had 20 videos. And that's how we duplicated like crazy, is we started getting other people on the team, and all they knew was hand people a video. And we all started buying videos until those videos were creating a big return on our investment. And then eventually, as things changed and VHS was no longer the deal, then we had, CDs and DVDs, and now streaming. Now it's all free. So if you're a network marketing today, you can explode. Man, you can that's why you see so many network marketers making $1 million a month. It used to be the goal was 100,000 a month. You wouldn't play the game, unless you're going for $100,000 a month. But now, it's $1 million a month. You're seeing more and more of these network marketers hitting $1 million because it's fast and the tools are available and most of the technology is free.
Yeah, it's easier than ever to get in front of 1 million people.
Man, yeah, you got 1 billion people on Instagram alone. My friend Dave Meltzer always says, look, you don't need to get 1 billion people on Instagram, but you figure out your niche, get your niche. Maybe you get 100,000, maybe you get 1 million of those 1 billion, and it's over. You're financially done. Build your tribe as fast as you can. Build your people, and don't try to be all things to all people. I know I'm not for everybody. There's a lot of things I do and say that people are not going to like. I'm a Christian, but I'm in the nightclubs. I'm a Christian and I'll still cuss. I believe in God, but I'm not, running around trying to force my beliefs on people. And I can be a little bit wild, and I have a good time, from health clubs to the nightclubs. So my message is not for everybody, but it was never designed for everybody. I didn't need everybody. I had 327,000 affiliates that saw it the way I did.
Yeah, it was for them.
It was for them. And we created 600 to 700 6- and 7-figure earners. So, I mean, we definitely had success, but we created so many successors that people were starting to gravitate towards, like, holy shit, how is this person making 10 grand a month? How is that person making 100 grand a month? It's because we got a simple system. So we would teach them, here's your daily method of operation. Here's what you do every day. If you only have 15 minutes today to put in time, here's the money-making activity that you should do. And I just stole all that. Everything I learned from somebody else.
It's all out there.
Yeah, it was all out there. So there are no John Malott originals. I had a mentor by the name of Darnell Self, and Darnell said, it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. And that's what I did. I found the right cats to copy, and I did what they did. Not until it got tough, not until I was stressed or sad or whatever. I did it until it got done. And that was the difference. I watched so many people quit. Like I would say, man, you're going to quit on the 99-yard line. You don't even realize it. You're right there. You paid all that price. You went through all that pain, those sleepless nights, and now you're going to quit. Now, again, they didn't always see it as quitting because they were going to go do something else. But you're going to have to, one day, no matter what you start, if you want to make millions and you want that bad boy spitting off millions, or you want it to be worth, like I've sold network marketing businesses for millions of dollars because I knew what they were worth. I built these big cash flow machines. I said, one day, if you want that, you're going to have to grab a hold of something and just do it until it's fucking done. I mean, excuse my language. Until it's done. Not until it's hard, not until you're, I don't know how people are burnt out. I mean, I hear people talk about burnout. I'm like, that's a weird concept to me, but whatever. I guess that happens. I mean, if you're on a job, I could see that. I was a janitor working for General Electric. If anyone was to be burnt out, that was me.
And when it gets really, really hard and you're about to quit, you're at the point where no one else has made it past. And if you do make it past, then you're the guy.
Bro, you just said it. You just gave a whole training right there. You just gave a whole training
because
right there.
There's a lot of, I don't know if you know Andy Elliott, but I had the chance to have a really long conversation with him about a month ago. And he's like, dude, it's amateur hour out there. Yeah. Like there's so many amateurs, so many mediocre people, and it's okay. That's for them. You know, greatness isn't for them. But when things get really, really hard, once you get past that, you're past where everybody else quit. And that's how you get to the other side of greatness.
Yeah, there's very few people. All you got to do is look at statistics. I mean, people lie. The numbers don't. Statistically speaking, not everybody that takes a picture in front of a Rolls Royce
has one.
Actually has one or has the financial wherewithal to even get one.
To even rent one.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to false flag today. It's easy to front today. You know, there's never been a time where it's been easier to do that. I think the big flex now is to not do that. Mm-hmm. Like I know your power based on speaking to you. I don't need to see the shit you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's clear and all. To use the word flex, it's a bigger flex when everyone knows you got it like that. But you're not like I was having having cigars with some guys in Atlanta last night, and Gary Vee came up in conversation, and I was talking about his goal to buy the jets. And someone thought he was talking about a private jet, but he wants to buy the football team, the New York Jets. Yeah. But they're like, he definitely has the money like that. I've never seen Gary Vee on a jet. I was like, he's got hundreds of millions, and we've never seen him on a private jet. Surely he's been on one. It's just not on Instagram. Oh, yeah. He's not that kind of guy. But everyone knows it. Yeah, so it's cooler.
I think it's way cooler. Yeah. I used to, of course. It's easy to say that too now. Because I did all, if you've had all that, I've had all the cars, all that stuff. So maybe it's easier now to say that because I did it. But I think everybody should have it, should try it. It's fun. But I don't care if you're in a Lamborghini or a Prius. The new car smell eventually wears off. It does. It's like
I'm going through my watch phase right now.
Yeah, watches too. I love watches, but I've gotten rid of most of my. Sometimes I wear jewelry, sometimes not. If I'm going out, and my wife is always blinging, so I got to keep up with her bling. But other than that, like now, some of it too is even dangerous for entrepreneurs. You become targets. I mean, we live in a different world, and people can track you down. They can figure out where you're at. I don't think anyone should ever live in fear, but I think you should always be aware.
Yeah.
That people want what you have, and they're not always willing to get on a podcast like this or pick up a book or go to a seminar or lock themselves in a room for days or weeks at a time to learn the shit. Why? When I can take it from somebody. And that's a sad state that we find ourselves in, where more and more people are just trying to take it from other people. So, as an entrepreneur, you got to be aware of that too. Your super flashiness could lead to some bigger challenges.
Definitely. That's good advice. I wanted to go back to when you were talking about building the systems as simple as possible and dumbing them down so people could replicate them. Because it's we've hired a lot of people in our business recently. It's hard to keep people on board, especially in a sales position. Like eat what you kill. You go after your opportunities and bring in revenue. It's hard to keep tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people on board unless it's a simple process they can follow and get results. So what are the steps to get someone in the door? They learn about the opportunity. They decide it's right for them. Like, how do they start making money so they don't quit? That's the most important thing, right? Like they get some wins under their belt so they don't quit.
Our thing is you got to get them paid and promoted quickly, because people will quit. They won't go as long as I did, and as long as, my mentors did in the beginning to get to that point. So for us, everything is like, we got a 3-step process for just about everything. I follow Carmine Gallo's rule of 3 on almost everything I do, even when I'm on a stage speaking, and the mind, uses patterns, and 3 is the lowest pattern for how do we remember numbers, how to remember our social security number, things like that. But anyway, so we have 3 steps for prospecting, and we use it in an app. So our sales guys, our affiliates, there's 3 steps. It's step 1, which is prospecting. And then there's, we have a 3-step video process. So the first video I send you or they send you is a 30-second video, and it's designed to pique interest because people's attention spans are short. Let's see if we can get them open enough to say they have interest, or and our app gives them feedback. It says, look, if I sent you the video, it'll tell me if you clicked on it. Number one, I get a notification once you click on it. I also get a notification to say, hey, he watched 20 seconds of it. It's a 30-second video. But what we discovered about the 30-second video is we got the percentage of people that watched it went way up. Like we have a 12-minute video.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch
12 minutes, they don't watch it. Like
you send me a 12-minute video, I'm not watching it. Yeah.
My wife won't watch it. So what we did is we took a 12-minute video, we broke it down into 3s. And the first piece is only 30 seconds. And 90% of the people would watch 30 seconds. And then the app is designed to tell us give us feedback so we know how to follow up. But also it would automatically direct you to the next part of the video. And the next part is 3 minutes. Like, okay, if you like that, then check out this 3-minute video that goes into, basically goes into what's in our product. And that's how we, like I could teach an army to press buttons on an app and watch for the notifications to come in and then read the notification. Now you know how to follow up because I'll hit people up and say, hey, I noticed when you got to the 3-minute video, you only watched 20%. I'll say, I know this didn't happen, but I'll say, did it freeze up on you? Was there a challenge or whatever? And that's how my follow-up would go. And a lot of times they'd be like, oh no, I got busy with the kids or this happened or whatever. I'm going to go check it out right now. I said, I'm like, good, I'll hit you back in 15 minutes. And so we always had a way to keep, because for me, it was always keep it moving until they buy or they die. It's keep the exposure process moving until they become an affiliate or a customer. And then once that happens, the real work now begins. And then we have a 3-step process for getting people started. Again, you have to figure out what your processes are, what those would be. Some people might have a 4-step or a 5-step. I don't know. But again, for us, we just kept it very, very simple, very clean. And because of that, I could teach an army to do that. I could teach an army. And that's how we build big ass armies, moving our products into the marketplace. We're opening up in Europe. We just got product on the ground in Europe. So we opened up Europe. September, I believe 11th is our official date. We'll do the same exact thing there, and it'll scale just as well as it did here in the U.S. Because we thought this stuff through. It's not haphazard, and I don't necessarily need to get some great salesperson in Germany, or the UK or whatever right now. I just need someone who will push some buttons on the app in the beginning and get the process started. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Is that an app that you guys had built, or is that something anyone could go download?
Yeah, it's an app that we had built. There's a generic version a good friend of mine put together. But we took his his version and we brought some people in and played around with it to make it
specific to what you do.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's a really great app for salespeople. But it does require it would require some customization for anybody to do it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Because with just selling a product as a business or an offer, whatever it is, like in a one-on-one scenario where unless you've got really good marketing and you're just getting in front of a lot of people, you need people who are really, really skilled at sales and closing and persuasion and it's hard. There's not a ton of people out there. So when you're scaling that big, you need to make the process and the offer simpler to where it doesn't require a top tier veteran sales trained person to get business in the door.
No,
you just make the offer simpler.
Yeah. I learned, again, because I want to scale all over the world, that I don't really give a shit if you're like, I get people come to me and say, John, I could sell snow to an Eskimo. And my response is, well, why would you do that? So that's great, but why? What's the value proposition? What's in it for the Eskimo? I mean, I started asking a whole bunch of questions. Like, that's great that you can manipulate people and you can get people to do shit that they probably wouldn't have done without you being there. And that's what sales is sometimes. But in my business, I don't need that. I need someone who can identify some needs, and can create some value and then deliver on whatever the promise is. And that I can get to scale. Because I can't, like, I talk to some salespeople and they don't even know how the hell they did it. Like, I ask them, like, how did you do that? And they're like, well, I just do it. And, I said, well, I can't scale that. I can't put that in the manual. I can't teach an army of people to do that. I mean, that's great, obviously. And sometimes that's years of them just doing it. Now it's reflex for them. But I see it a lot in real estate. Then they're tied geographically to their marketplace, which is fine, but they're probably not going to scale their real estate business into Canada or into Mexico or into Europe. That's for them. That's, for me, I want to, when I go to sleep tonight, I want to know that I have affiliates working in countries that they're just waking up as I'm going to bed. I like that a lot. I like waking up in the morning and then the bank account got filled while I was sleeping. One of my mentors, billionaire Paul J. Meyer, he always say, like, when he goes to bed, his money goes to work for him, and that he puts overalls on his money before he ever gets out of bed. And I like that. And that's something super cool. And that's what gave me freedom. And I've had time freedom forever. My kids will tell you, I used to block all their shit when they would try to skip school, or I go to the school. Like I was just home. I was at home during the day. You couldn't mess with me. And I already knew all the tricks and stuff. And I knew their friends. I knew where they lived. So I would block a lot of the bad behaviors that they would have did that I already did. And because I had a home-based business, and it gave me it gave me time freedom. And eventually it gave me a lot of money, which those two together are kind of nice.
With Snap, tell me how that came about and kind of describe it to me. I looked into it as well, and it's like a pre-workout type thing. But
well, we have 4 products, and it actually was never designed to be a pre-workout. But because we got clinical studies around boosting nitric oxide by like 230%, we like Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, who uses nothing, started using our product. Now his 17-year-old son, who's breaking records in the weightlifting arena, is using our product. We started getting a bunch of professional athletes and boxers that were using it. We have a product called Surge, and it's like tequila and smelling salts. When you first hit that bad boy, your senses fire up immediately, but it's all plants. It's like broccoli, kale, blueberries, cherries, turmeric to lower inflammation, a bunch of B vitamins. And then for me, it was designed to go head to head with energy drinks. Because when I was 40 years old, about 13 years ago, I almost lost my life. I owned a nightclub and a restaurant. I was Red Bulls by day, Red Bull vodkas at night. And I got very, very sick to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. We couldn't figure out what was wrong. I started getting on all these pharmaceutical drugs. I was getting worse. A naturopath came in my life, and we did some serious blood work and some testing. And we found like forever chemicals in my bloodstream that are used to process energy drinks. To give you an idea of this stuff that we're consuming, it was literally killing me. And she said, the challenge is you can do that. You can do that. Some people can do it for a decade. Some people can do it for 2 decades. Nothing. So one day, you've hit the limit. You're redlining now, and since you don't want to stop, your body stops you, and that's kind of what happened. And my naturopath gave me a lot of ideas, and so I said, I'm going to create the cleanest, most powerful energy drink on the planet. Hold on. Let me grab it. I'm going to show it to you real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, I see him right behind you.
Yeah, let me there's the boxes. Those are empty boxes. That's just for show. Those are my dummy boxes. But this is what it is. It's a snap pack. It's thinner than your credit card. And the deal with nutrition is real simple. What you're really looking for is absorption. Like when you buy gummies, you're only absorbing about 15% of what you're paying for. So it's more of a placebo, but they taste good. They throw a bunch of sugar on it and sucralose and a whole bunch of garbage. And we think we're doing something, but we're, it's better than nothing, I guess, except for the sugar and the sucralose. I feel like it negates, like I just wouldn't do gummies. Then next is powders and pills, but same thing. Powders use a bunch of fillers. Like when you're doing a pre-workout scoop of powder, the reason why you get that jittery feeling is it's all cheap ingredients. They're using synthetic caffeines, all that. And again, maybe better than nothing, maybe not, especially if they're using sucralose as an alternative to sugar. And I wouldn't use sugar either. But anyways, they got to put filler in it. And then all the energy drinks and the C4s and all that, just complete garbage. And Celsius is the worst of the best of all of it. But they market it as a health drink. But here, thinner than your credit card, half the size, all liquid in here. And it's called a Snap Pack. It's just we just created a new delivery to nutrition. So I've got a multivitamin, multi-mineral, brain formula, organic greens. I've got a sleep formula. And this right here is my I call it hashtag Benjamin Button. This is my anti-aging. It's got some clinical studies around lengthening telomeres. And it just goes like this. Snap it. And I just took a shot.
That was fun. Yeah.
Everything you need, everything you need, nothing you don't need. I don't need to put additives in there, extra anything. Plant-based, vegan, sugar-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, GMO-free, all the frees. I just put in what's necessary. And then we take the exact dosage from the peer-reviewed medical clinical studies. So I'd say, go read the shit for yourself. This is what it'll do for you. Or go back to the other bullshit that you're doing. But we're doing this from health clubs and nightclubs. Like our Surge product, we're doing that in nightclubs with bottles of 1942 instead of using Red Bulls or energy drinks. And they keep inviting us back because it's so fast and it's so clean. These nightclubs will be like, bro, we had our biggest night ever. Because sometimes they'll give me the mic. Give me the mic for 60 seconds and let me explain what you're about to do with that hit. And it's over. And they end up wherever there's high energy, there's money. Wherever there's high energy, there's momentum. And if you can create momentum for somebody else, they're going to keep calling you back. I got massive gyms that, like Miami gym, Boxer gym in Miami. You got big names snapping our
celebrities.
Kenny James, professional boxer. He'll snap one of our Surge products, go in the ring and knock people's heads off. And so that stuff starts to spread and people are like, shit, I might not be in the ring, but I like to be productive all day. Andy Elliott's team, my business partner, the clever investor, Cody Sperber, him and I own the company together with my wife. He just told me he had Andy Elliott on his podcast. And Andy's like, bro, I try everything. I need this for all of my sales guys. So if you want to be more productive, snap one of those bad boys in a day and you're rocking and rolling all day.
Will you show it again on camera? Because it was actually blurry for a little bit when you were showing them. But yeah, so tiny little pack right there.
Tiny little pack. It's thinner than your credit card. And this thing right here is jam-packed, 700 milligrams of AC11, Aceola cherry. And you just put it to your mouth like this, snap it in the center. Or there's still a little bit in there. And that's it. This morning when my wife and I got to the gym, first thing we did, got in the gym. We don't try to sell anybody. We just make a little video. We're in the gym. We're about to go at it, snapped our pack, and we go power through a workout. And then people ask questions about it. And that's how we built our whole affiliate team.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces to that. Because number one, it's a good product with good ingredients. Yeah. And then number two is it's cool. No one's ever seen someone pull out this little pack and snap it in their mouth in the gym or whatever. So it just creates, attention, basically.
And what is marketing? What are we trying to do in marketing? We're trying to get your attention. I want you asking questions. What is that? What are you doing? I'm like, oh, glad you asked. and that's been our model. And it's the reason why we blew up and the brand became so big in just 2 years. Because it's hard to build a brand from scratch. But when you have something that's unique, it's different.
Well, what's the process like building a product that's consumable? Like you got to go through FDA regulation stuff or all this testing of ingredients.
Testing is a big one. We also, fortunately, we manufacture it in an NSF certified environment, which means professional athletes can take our product without worrying about failing drug tests. Since we're going into Europe, it's very difficult a lot of times for a lot of American brands to just go into Europe. They usually have to change formulas and ingredients, things like that. We already knew from the get-go we weren't going to have issues because we removed all the garbage that America allows in their products. So what could take 2-3 months to get approved to go into Europe, within 2 days we had the green light to go in. So, but there is a process, and for us it took a year in formulation. We have another business partner does about $1 billion a month in supplement sales, and 12 full-time research and development people. We got naturopaths involved in the process. So it took a year before we ever launched the company because we're going to get this right. No one's going to think this is a fad or a trend. We are creating a new delivery system, period, and a superior form of energy, sleep, anti-aging, and consumption of vitamins and minerals and greens. So we knew what we were going to become before we became that. And then it's just a matter, you reverse engineer it. So what do you want to be? What's the mission? Who are you? What are we about? then you reverse engineer. Then you find the right people that can create the formulas. You then source the ingredients, and then you start playing. Like we were mad scientists, man. We had that energy one a couple of times. Like, oh, this is going to kill somebody. That was too much. Tone that down or whatever. Tone down the niacin a little bit. Whatever it was, until we felt like, oh yeah, this is clean. This feels good. People are gonna love it.
Yeah. And I think there's a lesson in there starting from scratch in that industry is you just partnered with another guy that's selling $1 billion worth of supplements every month. You didn't go figure out which labs do we need to talk to, which people making the, working with everything. You just found someone, hey, let's do this together.
Yeah. And not all supplement purveyors, people that can create supplements and you throw a label on it, they're all not created equally. Again, NSF certified was a big one. Tons and tons of these supplement providers aren't. Liquid becomes a whole nother animal because taste is very difficult. And how do you do it without sugar? So all of a sudden you see the liquid nutrition that has all the sugar in it, or instead of sugar, they say no sugar and they use sucralose, which I would argue is even worse. It's messing up your gut. I read a whole study on sucralose causing brain cancer, tumors in rats and shit. And I'm like, all right, we don't want to mess around there. And it still spikes the glucose levels. It does all this damage and it's not diabetic friendly. So you have people that get tricked. Like when you pick up a Celsius can and it says no sugar, and then you turn it over and it's like, okay, they're using sucralose, but they got you convinced that you're drinking an energy or a health drink. I'm like, man, we're being bamboozled, but we don't know it. And we don't take the time even a lot of times. We're busy, man. You're running, I'm running. It looks good. It shows some fruit on the
says live fit on the can.
Yeah, this must be good. Why would they, why would Johnson & Johnson sell us baby powder that is clearly today known as a carcinogenic? Why would 3M put Teflon coating on the pans we're going to cook with? And we now know today it's clearly a carcinogen. There's big money in it, and there's profit in this stuff. And
is it because it's cheaper to use those chemicals, or
way cheaper? Look, Starbucks, here's a great example. The reason I used to drink Starbucks on a regular basis. Starbucks is an experiment now in how little coffee you can actually put in a cup of coffee. Number one, conventional coffee is the most tampered with food product on the planet. More pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides than any other food on the planet. We wouldn't let food come into our country the way we let coffee come in. But coffee is a big ass business. Follow the dollars. Here's the other side. Starbucks has figured out a way to put less coffee in a cup of coffee, put more chemicals in, because the chemicals cost way less than the coffee does. So 29 different chemicals in the average cup of Starbucks. So you think you're drinking coffee, but you're drinking a lot. You're drinking a whole concoction that they built in a laboratory. It's as simple as that. I'm saying drink all the Starbucks you want, but understand there will be at some point ramifications for consuming that on a regular basis. As a treat, wonderful. And then the other thing is, then we throw 100 grams of sugar on top of all the other shit. And then you got to wonder, what will a decade of drinking that, what will that lead to? And we already know, because we're already seeing it. We're already seeing it in the numbers. We're already seeing the health crisis that we have. And by the way, your health is your wealth. Entrepreneurs should take more time focusing on their health, because what if you do get rich? What if all this work you're doing, you finally do get rich, but you've been sucking down Starbucks and Red Bulls and not sleeping well and all this stuff, and all of a sudden you got the money, but you're lethargic. You don't have the pep in your step. The energy's gone. You can't do shit. Because I see it. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. I got guys my age, 50-some years old, can't make it up a flight of steps, but they got big ass money, bellies, hanging over their gut, one foot in the grave. I mean, what? Yeah,
and then you pass away 20 or 30 years earlier than you should.
Man, hell no, that ain't for me. Yeah. And it shouldn't be for anybody, because look, there's vibrance. An entrepreneur should be vibrant, should be, attractive. Energy should be contagious. That's my opinion. Maybe someone else thinks differently, but my opinion is.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, get your health right. Get some more snap, baby. And by the way,
that's amazing.
By the way, it's OSNAP, not OH. It's O snap. A play on the snap.
The snap. Yeah,
snap.
I love that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, and then you're putting the same business model into that with affiliates and network marketing. How does that work with building that kind of business model?
Yeah, I'm bringing a superior product to the marketplace. Number one, I'm delivering it at a price point that's less than a lot of the stuff that people are already consuming. So now they can swap where they shop. They're just simply trading out if they're already health conscious. If they're not, then we're showing them invest a little money in yourself, and maybe you'll feel better down the line and live longer. And then we build the tools first. So once we got the product figured out, then we build the tools for the affiliates. Like I said, say less to more people was what I was told. So why not continue in that model? Because that allowed me to scale so well. And I didn't have to teach everybody all kinds of closing techniques, because that can only scale so far.
Right.
Again, if you're in the car dealership, no big deal. Be the best damn car salesman on that corner, on that lot ever existed. But me, I wanted to build a global business, and I'm teaching our affiliates to do the same thing. And that requires us creating like the app. It requires us creating tools, video stuff, social media, quick social media stuff that captures people's attention. What we teach our affiliates to do once their package arrives in the mail, you kind of do an unboxing ceremony. Like you'd have a ribbon cutting. If I open up a physical store, I'd have a big promotion. Hey, come to the ribbon cutting. We're opening up. My ribbon cutting may be, hey, this product just arrived. I'm going to do a quick video, and then I'm going to use the product. Then I'll do a quick education thing on what the product did for me. That's sales for us. That means the stay-at-home mom could do it. That means the college kid could do it. You follow what I mean? What I'm saying? I'm not limited to. I get people hit me up all the time. John, we'll handle your sales for you, but you could, but you're not going to move. You're not going to do the kind of sales that I can do. Because I can do. $250 million a year in global sales, where you might be able to get me $1 million. Maybe if you got a great team, maybe you get me 10 million a year. That's not exciting to me anymore. Yeah. That would have been, you know what I mean? Because I'm looking like the Philippines, Asia, South Korea was my biggest market. Prior to this, we took a product, launched in South Korea. Our first year in South Korea, we did $100 million in
just in South Korea,
just in South Korea alone. And then from there we went, Japan. I ended up moving to Australia because I was closer to Asia, and I just wanted to check out Australia. So I lived in Australia for a while. We built there, and then when I came back, it was funny because they were working while I was sleeping, and I'd wake up. I remember waking up one morning, $250,000 deposited in my bank account from what happened the night before. I was like, dang, I had a great year while I slept.
Last night.
Last night. Exactly. So that's why imagine if I had to just only get sales guys in Australia, and I'd have, be the same thing. There'd be a couple of them that just crush it and a whole bunch that don't do shit, a handful that are mediocre. And I'd be constantly trying to motivate them. That's not fun for anybody. And yeah, most people have to get that motivation from within. I would tell people, you already have it in you. You have the potential in you. Just what are you going to do with it? And find a reason that's bigger than you. Find out why the fuck you want to do this. Why do you want to be rich? And it can't just be about the dollars themselves. Who's it going to help? Who's it going to retire? Who's it going to save? What's it going to do? And then let that drive you every single day until it actually happens, and I think that's what we teach our affiliates is like, dig deep. Why are you doing this? Why would you get up early in the morning? Why would you stay up late? Why would you go through the rejection? Why would you send out another video? Why would you press a button on the app again? Why would you do another unboxing ceremony? Why would you educate people on these products? Why? I want to know why. And if your why is big enough, there's a really good chance that one day you're gonna make that happen. One day you are gonna retire your mom. One day you are gonna retire yourself. Whatever it happens to be. Mine was my kids and getting out of that neighborhood that I lived in. That was a big driver for me. I knew I couldn't raise girls, and which is what I'm a girl dad. 4 girls in a row. I had to get them out of there. You can't grow up here. It's hard on boys. Girls, forget about it. I wouldn't want a female growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in. We are brutal. We are brutal on these little girls. Gotta go. Anyway,
where was that? Where was that?
I grew up on the south side of Milwaukee.
Yeah,
in Milwaukee, in the city.
And where do you stay at mostly now?
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Scottsdale.
Yeah, I used to split between here and Australia for a little while, and then dumped that, and now here, and then we're in out of Miami a lot. Of course, we're opening up Europe, so we're the next time we do this, it might be from Europe somewhere. That you're, hey, nothing like building all over the world, because it also makes for incredible tax deductible business trips. You get what I'm saying?
It does. Yeah.
So we got a lot of cool trips to Ibiza and Spain.
If your wife's a business partner and you just have to go to Paris for business.
Of course.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
It's not. And that's the other thing. It's not how much you make. It's how much you keep and how much do you protect, and do it legally. And there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of benefits to providing economic opportunities to other people. And that's what network marketing is about. And that's what I love about it. I get it all the time. Like, I got a friend of mine, Cody Grandadam. You guys, and I would interview him if you can get a hold of him. Cody does retail, started with flashlights and batteries, hundreds of millions of dollars. One of his business partners is Damon John. Anyways, Cody's a good friend of mine. But Cody called me out of nowhere. Cody, when I was living in Chicago, Cody would sit in the back of these rooms where I was talking to our network marketing teams. I was training them or doing what we call a business briefing. And he was never like the top guy or anything like that. But he went out and he took all that information. He went and built a traditional business that's insane. And he called me one day. He said, "Bro, I don't know if you remember me." And I did remember him, but he's told me what he did, and it's impressive, man. This dude will get, one order from a Sam's Club or a Costco, and it's $1 million deal that day. But he learned it from here. And I've got a lot of people. Yeah, it's the principles are the same. And we're the ultimate scalers. I tell anyone, you want to learn how to scale a business, join a network marketing company.
Right. And you don't have to do it forever, but you're going to learn a lot of things that'll translate to whatever you're going to do.
Hell yeah.
It doesn't take much to start, right? Like what would it take for someone to start working with you?
Yeah, here's the problem. Because it doesn't take much to start, that's why people don't take it seriously. Exactly. My initial investment in network marketing was $600. And and you already know the 600, calculate the return on investment on that check. It's insane. And I don't have employees. I didn't have overhead. I have very little overhead because especially everything's drop shipped. So I don't touch most of the stuff other than, what I consume personally. So, for let's say $1,000 to be all in, like people don't take it seriously, man. That's the problem. Now, if I took 100,000 from you, you might take it a little more seriously. Because what happens then is with 1,000 invested, they don't do it. Sometimes they show up. Now they're entrepreneurs. Now they're watching Netflix. Now they're on the bowling league. Now they're on the dart league. Now they're doing everything else. Their business is not their priority. It's put in somewhere else because they think they're entrepreneurs, and they neglect the thing that would really give them the freedom. And when it's $1,000 on the line, who cares? Like, people got shit in their closet they never wore. I had bad dates cost me more than $1,000, with no possibility of return. And that's what happens. And then they say network marketing doesn't work, or only the people at the top make money. Are you fucking stupid? It's everywhere. Only the people at the top make the money. You know how they got to the top? They worked. They did the work. Because only the people
never left.
climbed and grind. Yeah, exactly. It's like when I hear that stuff, I'm like, are you an idiot? Like, come on. Is okay. So here's what I would do. Like, when my kids played sports, we didn't look at the kid who didn't make the team. I didn't tell my kid, "Oh, look at that kid. He didn't make the team." You know what we did? We looked at the kids that made the team. Who's on the starting lineup of this team? That's who we're gunning for. Like, I don't know why anyone would gun for the guy who didn't do it. Why would you? Why would you even bring up? Like, I wrote a book, MLM's Dirty Little Secrets, a look behind the curtain. Why would you look at the people that failed? Why would you give any energy to that? Like, they didn't do it, and they tell you it doesn't work. Okay, well, they didn't do shit. Let me go. Have them send me their calendar. Let me see how many appointments they made. Let me see how many people they talked to. And I guarantee you the truth is in their calendar. And you're going to find out really quick they didn't do shit. Because had they done something, they would have got paid. Had they done something, they wouldn't have been whining. Had they done something, they would have been on the beach with me and my wife. You know what I mean? And that's where my frustration comes is, again, there's this perception about an industry that's born out of negativity, and it comes from people who failed or never did it. And I personally would never follow someone. I'm gonna learn some things from someone who failed. Like, if I'd like to talk to a homeless person and say, "How did you become homeless?" So I know not to ever do what you did. Does that make sense to you? You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
I see these people all the time. Well, I know someone who did. Well, good for you. I know a lot of people who failed in business. I just don't focus on those people. And I don't know why you would either.
Anyway, exactly what you said. Like, let's take a look at the calendar. What really happened?
What really happened?
And to anyone who thinks that like it doesn't work, I completely agree with look at the calendar. We'll see what really happened.
Every
and
time.
then the people who made it, look at their calendar. They're going to look very different.
Bro, I tell them, this is how I know for a fact. I've done this 29 years. And almost every single time someone complains to me, this is 99% of the time. Now I say, send me the front page of your app, because the front page, there's all the statistics right on the front. Right when you open it up, it tells you how many exposures you made, tells you the engagement, it gives you tons of information. I used to say, send me your calendar. Send me over your calendar. Now I say, screenshot the front page of your app. Crickets. Rarely do they send it over to me, because I just told them what their issue was. You still got to work. If you think you're going to sit around and people are going to pound on your door, say, hey, you got some old snap in there, or you got whatever in there, that doesn't work. It's not going to happen that way. You might get lucky every now and then. Even a blind chicken finds feed, but that's not consistent, and that's not the norm. And
yeah.
But you start taking inventory of people that are complaining and whining and bitching. You start realizing, oh, wait a minute. If there's someone else, like we just formed a merger with a company June 1st. There's people in this company that are earning $1 million per month. Okay, so you're telling me it doesn't work, but I can point to a lady right now, and I would joke with my guy friends. I know a girl who's beating you right now. I know a girl making $1 million a month. You can't beat a girl? Come on. Joking around with my friends, of course.
Yeah.
She's a badass powerhouse. But I can show you crazy amounts of people making 10, 20 grand a month. Like it's everywhere. But it don't work. What part doesn't work? The only part, thank you. That's the only part that doesn't work. The products work, the opportunity works. The only variable in that equation is you. And clearly you are the problem. So we can do it one of two ways. You could just quit and be done with it. And then you're going to go do something else, and you're going to bring you to that something else. That's the fucking problem.
Yeah.
You're gonna
wherever you go, there you are.
Wherever you go, there you are, man. And I've watched people. Here's what's funny about it. And I have time on my side. I have experience. I have friends of mine that started with me when I was 20 years old. They didn't finish with me. Started with me. Today, we're the same, about the same age. Some of my friends, they're in the same exact position that they were when they were in their 20s. That's my warning to people. Like, don't think somehow you're going to end up just because of time. You're going to end up in a much better place. You're actually in a worse place because inflation is eating away at your bank account. I mean, I can go on and on in this stuff, from a financial literacy standpoint. And then you're still giving your time for money. Or you're still trying to find some hustle to make you a millionaire overnight, good luck with that. I mean, go buy a lottery ticket. You'd be better off.
Yeah. Do you have plans to take the business to retail and like in stores or what?
Yeah, we have a commitment from a chain of truck stops, 2,500 truck stops. We have a commitment from right now. We haven't executed our end of that yet. We're who I just told you, my buddy Cody Grandadam is building out some of the pieces to that. So yeah, we'll do that. I'm pretty excited about that, especially our energy product. We have an espresso shot that's insane. It tastes like my favorite espresso martini. It's like it's just like honey on your tongue. It's not like the other one where it's smelling salts and tequila, which is actually my favorite one. But this one's gonna crush in that environment, and it's clean because these truckers are doing like no dose. I mean, terrible.
Yeah, 5-hour energy.
Yeah, 5-hour energies, all these chemicals, all the energy. Look at the energy aisle. There's a gazillion of them. Prime just goes on and on and on. And I'm not saying there's not a place for all that stuff. I'm just saying if you consume that on a regular basis, you will pay a price. How do I know? I paid the price, and I got the blood tests to prove it, and I got the medical bills to prove it. And I can hope you can use me as a warning, or not, and then just see where you end up. For me, that's not that. I don't like those odds. I'd rather make the adjustment because the challenge is it's not just in those products. It's in our, we're putting chlorine and fluoride in our water. I mean, it's in our coffee. It's in our Kraft macaroni and cheese. It's in our Ragu spaghetti sauce. It's in our frozen pizzas. And that's where it's like, okay, at some point, you got to give yourself a break. You got to give your body a break, because it's the big tobacco companies like Philip Morris and RJR Reynolds. They went and bought the Crafts of the world. They bought them Nabiscos of the world. What do you think they did? They're putting additives into those products like they did with cigarettes. So we become addicted to it. Man, I just think of Kraft macaroni and cheese, and I want to go make some right now. Like, my mouth is watering thinking about it. But it's probably the worst possible thing you could feed your kids. Ramen noodles, MSG, all this stuff. And it's okay in moderation. I'm not a guy telling you, go eat fucking grass all day long. I'm living my life. I'm down for a nice pizza and a cold beer, but I also understand I need to offset that in some way. And I do it through supplementation in a big way. I do it through clean water, and I do it through movement. And I'm running, put me out on the field with a 25-year-old, and I'm going to hang with them the whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my ego.
maybe we'll see. We'll do it. We'll set it up.
Yeah,
but
depends on a 25-year-old now, though.
Yeah.
The average 25-year-old, forget about it. He's dusted.
Yeah. What other projects do you have that you're working on? Is this the only thing? I know it's the main thing, but
yeah, this is the main thing that I'm building, because we're watching the valuations, of course, just continue to rise on the company. It makes a lot of sense. I love building cash flow machines. I love a goose that lays golden eggs, and I love to take care of that goose for a long time. So that's what we're doing there. I have investments in a couple companies that may or may not go public at some point. So I'm an investor. I look for cool projects, cool things that are coming. I sold my shares in SetJet, which I thought was a super cool private jet company that I owned for about 5 years. They're now going public. I find cool stuff that I can do passively. Everything I want time. I care about time more than anything. Time is the most valuable thing on the planet. I can't get it back. I can get my money back. I can't get my time back. So, and I got kids. I got a grandson on the way. I'm about to be a grandpa. I can't believe that.
Oh, congrats.
Over. Thank you. So yeah, I got a lot of cool stuff on the works. I'm working with a friend of mine, probably build a Wyndham hotel here locally. Stuff that doesn't require me to be engaged, but is run and developed by killers that have track records and know what they're doing. Yeah.
Do you do much real estate?
Yeah, I used to own a real estate investment company. I don't do it so much anymore. My partner, Clever, Cody Sperber, that's kind of his jam. I do own some real estate. For me, real estate, when I had the real estate investment company, I learned one thing. I learned a lot of things, but one thing that I found, where I either have a lot of it or none of it. Especially when it comes to rental. I had a lot of rent. I had a lot of apartment buildings, a lot of 4 families too. And I had a lot of hood properties, Section 8 stuff, a lot of cash flow, but also a lot of headaches came with that. I don't miss that. I used to take my kids around in the hood and collect rents, and they have stories, interesting stories.
Oh yeah.
Daddy was trying to collect rents from people, but Section 8 helped because I would get it directly from the government. The challenge was a lot of times their
portion.
The place got destroyed. There's always, no matter what you do, there's a yin and a yang. There's a price to pay for whatever cash you're gonna get.
Yeah.
If you can do it without paying a price, God bless you. I haven't been able to.
Yeah, the first real estate deal I did, I lived at the complex, and I've got stories for years. We only owned that deal for 14 months too, and I've got years worth of experience and stories from that deal. But look, that's my thing.
That experience is valuable, because I guarantee you know some things not to do going forward. You know some things you for sure will never do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I owned a restaurant and a nightclub that almost killed me. 4 years of that nonsense. I would never. I don't invest in restaurants. I don't invest in nightclubs. I'll support you if you open one. I'll come and support you, but I won't put my money into it. I learned a lot. I made a lot of money, but I learned a lot. A lot of money got stolen from me along the way.
Yeah. Well, John, I appreciate the time. I've learned a lot, and it was valuable to me. So I'm very sure it's valuable to anyone listening. Was there anything we didn't cover that you'd want to go over real quick?
No, man, I'm just telling you, we have a tagline with all of our affiliates, and it's we're transforming minds, bodies, and bank accounts. And I just tell people all the time, people come to me all the time, they talk about their money, they want to transform their bank account. And I said, well, first we got to transform your mind, because it doesn't matter. Your bank account is not the issue. The number in your bank account is not the issue. The issue is your mind. And for me, it was real clear. I got my mind right, got my body right, and my bank account got right. Now, I did get my bank account right a few times when my body wasn't right, and I almost lost my health completely, and I would have been willing to give up every dollar that was sitting in that bank account to get it back at that time. So get your priorities straight. And stuff like this, man, I love what you're doing, because stuff like this, we didn't have this when I was coming up, man. If I was 20 years old and I had access to stuff like this, where you got someone like me, and not saying I'm great, but I've already been where
you've already learned everything you already learned.
I learned a lot of shit, man. I'm still learning. I still do, some messed up stuff, and I'm learning the hard way, but that's the best teacher. Find some people that got beat up a little bit, and find out what they did to take the punches and keep moving. Don't go to the dude who got beat up and is, sucking his thumb in the fetal position every day, whining, the world sucks. And that's not the one you're looking for. The one who got knocked down but got back up. And you interviewed these guys. You said Andy Elliott. These guys are powerhouses. They're beasts. And get my guy Cody Grandadam and Cody Sperber on your podcast.
Yeah, I'll have to reach out to him. I think my assistant may have reached out to Cody Sperber, but we'll get him on the list.
Catch. We did.
Those are the best people.
Yeah, that's what you want. Find busy people, get around busy people, become a busy person, become valuable in the marketplace, and then people are going to want you. It's real simple.
Yep.
That's it, John. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Congratulations on your success.
Absolutely. Thank you. And what's the best way people can find out more about you and get involved in what you're doing?
Yeah, just Instagram is probably my main place, and I handle I used to have other people handle my social media. I stopped doing that. John, so JOHN Malott, MALOTT, John MALOTT, John Malott. That's the best place. Just DM me. I don't. It takes me time sometimes because the DMs are pretty insane. But I hit everybody back. As long as it's not some weird shit. Don't hit me up saying, please give me money, because I get a lot of that too. Those are.
I've had that happen as well.
Yeah, that's mainly my request is give me money. I said, look, I can teach you to fish, but I'm not giving you a fish. I wouldn't do you that harm. I wouldn't do you that disservice. Anyway, so yeah, John.Malott on Instagram.
All right. Well, thank you very much, John. And if you're still listening at this point, thank you. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, if you made it this far, man, you're a trooper, man. You should get a fucking prize. Hit me up. I'll send you a snap pack.
All right.